Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are safe. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the second day of Navigator, which is on career opportunities in the IT industry, organized by the Computer Science Student Association of the University of Kelaniya. I am Praveen Bhavantha, the moderator for today's session. The Computer Science Student Association is one of the most dynamic student bodies in the University of Kelaniya, and is the pioneer academic association of the Faculty of Computing and Technology. As for the faculty's vision to become a center of excellence in creating and propagating the knowledge in computing and technology for sustainable development, the Computer Science Student Association was formed as a student body with the aim of enhancing an undergraduate's potential by organizing a wide spectrum of activities and events that would help them grow. As you all know, the IT industry has expanded in the past few years and career opportunities in the IT field have increased. This series of discussion will guide you all with the future career path. Software engineering, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and networking are some of the key areas in computer science. From these panel discussions, we hope to cover the career paths in all those fields. So stay tuned with Navigator to clarify all your questions as an IT enthusiast. Data science combines the scientific method, math and statistics, specialized programming, advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, and even storytelling to uncover and explain the business insight buried in data. And when we talk about artificial intelligence is the ability of a computer program or a machine to think and learn. It is also a field of study which tries to make computers smart. They work on their own without being encoded with commands. So before moving on with the session, let me take a moment to introduce our guest speakers for the second session of Navigator discussion series on career opportunities in artificial intelligence and data science. Today, we have two guest speakers, Dr. Rukshan Batuwita, who is a PhD holder in machine learning at the University of Oxford. He has been working in applied machine learning for the last 15 years, first in academia and then in industry. And our next guest speaker is Mr. Amalka Withana. He completed his BSc Electrical and Electronic Engineering degree and currently working as a data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data architect at Axiata Digital Lab. So let's move on to today's session. If you have any questions or need any clarification, feel free to ask them using the link we share in the chat box. And those who have joined through the YouTube live, you can comment your question, and at the end of the session, our guest speakers will answer them for you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Rukshan Batuwita and Mr. Amalka Withana. I hope Dr. Rukshan Batuwita and Mr. Amalka Withana, you all are staying safe and staying good with this pandemic situation. Okay, so now let's jump into the theme. So, okay, I welcome you all for this session. So, as the first question, Dr. Rukshan, according to your perspective, how do you define data science in a theoretical manner based on your experience and from the researchers you have done?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. First of all, thanks for the invitation by the Computers, I think Students Association at Kelaniya. And so glad to be here. And second of all, a little bit of a disclaimer we start anything, that is that I'm not representing any company that I work in the past or working at the moment. Just so anything I present in this session are purely my thoughts and ideas. Right? Okay, so let's move on to the question that you asked, right? How you can define the data science. So I'll take you a bit of a history, right, of the start of the data science. So for example, when I graduated, when I completed my PhD around 2010, when I was looking for industry opportunities in machine learning side of things, there was nothing called data science, right? I can remember I was looking for opportunities in the UK at that time. I couldn't find any opportunity that people are hiring for something like data science position or big data, right, at that time. Then after 2 years, fast forwarding, when I moved to Australia at that time, then when I started looking for the market, then I found like hundreds of opportunities later on in Australia at that time, right? So the term data science is nothing new. It was coined around, I think, 1960s, but never become popular until around 2011, 2012, right? So what people do is actually, as you know, there are different analytics areas like, I don't know, people apply different areas to extract insights from the data, like machine learning, statistical analysis, signal processing, and also different informatics areas, so different domains like bioinformatics, chemoinformatics, and so on and so forth. So then what happened was around 2012, people started using the term data science as an umbrella term to capture all of these different analytics areas into one domain. It's called data science, right? What is common is basically the application of statistics, mathematics, and computer science, right? Combination to bring the insights from the data, right? So that's the kind of the birth of the area of data science. Now it's become really popular. Everyone knows it has become a word on the street now, data science, right? So I think to define what data science is pretty much that, right? So you have some set of data that you collected. It can be observational data or experimental data. Then you have try to apply some scientific methods, right, to extract the data. Sometimes you have to start with a hypothesis. I'm going with the area of scientific methods. So you're starting with a hypothesis. Then you design an experiment to collect the data. Sometimes you rely on the observational data, if the data has been already collected. And then you do some analysis. Then you try to make some conclusions to accept or reject the hypothesis that you started with. So that's the kind of the scientific method that people try to apply to analyzing data to extract knowledge in a more scientific way. So that's kind of my interpretation or the definition of data science. Yeah.
Okay. So, Dr. Rukshan, thank you for that. I think you all got an idea what data science is. It has to do with data. If you are loving with data, you can actually go higher in there. So Mr. Amalka, so moving on to Mr. Amalka, if we take data science as an aspect of the industry, how can we define data science in the aspect of the industry?
Okay, so as Dr. Rukshan said, same applied for me as well, that anything that I am telling is solely from my thoughts and not affiliated to anything that I have worked before. And then thank you for inviting me as well. So, and it's glad because few years back, not few years, I mean 2 to 3 years back, I was at the audience when Rukshan talking on the actually on the stage. So it's glad joining with this Dr. Rukshan here to give you an idea. So in industry, let me tell you one thing that Dr. Rukshan went through a very structured, very professional, and very organized path on data science because he's getting PhD on that area. But I am by education from electrical and electronic engineering. And after 3 years passed by from my career, starting from my career, then I turned into a self-learned data scientist. I mean, learn a lot of things, and I spend so many hours, so much of money and traveling around the different conferences and get knowledge, which I could gather for this discipline. So when it comes to the industry, so I mainly worked for last 10 to 15 years in Sri Lankan industry. So what I see in Sri Lanka, you know that Sri Lanka by culture is not a data-driven culture, right? So, I mean, you know that we go through the astrology, and sometimes people getting in the dreams that you can build this typical pania in this way. So not data-driven approach in Sri Lankan culture. So it's very hard, even in any organization, to go for a data-driven, but good for now, and many companies starting this data-driven culture. So in industry, in addition to what Dr. Rukshan mentioned, there's another two aspects come into the picture. One is amount of investment, money, or ROI in other words, and what are the resources that we have to accommodate this particular experiment. And then what will be the ROI and how much time it will take to deliver this, because always it's ROI bounded in an industry. So we have very limited, I mean, normally in current setup right now, we are doing maybe 50 plus projects, but we are given space to do 2 R&D projects. So all other has to deliver some ROI end of the day. So there's that kind of pressure in the industry settings. But anyway, it's again balanced that you have to do some experiment, you have to do experiment, and always keep the mind that at the end of the day, it has to deliver some kind of ROI, because you can't fall into a trap in data science, because we call it a data science trap, that you go after the accuracy or your evaluation metrics. You try to do iteration or iteration because you have a I mean, aspiration to go high accuracy, and because you are kind from the practitioner perspective. So because of that, in the industry, there's a little bit of pressure coming on there. But I'm not saying that it's not in the academic, but academic is more, that area that you have a little bit flexibility, go for novel things, and you can spend some amount of time into R&D and get something back. So industry, yes, it's simply, other than what Rukshan mentioned, there's ROI piece into come into the picture. And yes, if you have collected data, you can, I mean, if you can mine that as a gold mine and get good return out of it.
Okay. So yes, I think everyone got an idea about what data science is in two respective ways, and I think this would be a great session for everyone to get ideas from two different parts. I guess it will be a really insightful session for everyone. Okay, so thank you for giving an introduction about what data science is. All right, moving on next. So I have another question. So a lot of students have this doubt on identifying the difference between artificial intelligence and data science, and sometimes also with the machine learning. So Dr. Ruksha, do all these come together, or is there a connection between them, or are they different from each other? Can you explain about this?
Yeah, so thanks for the question, and thanks. I'm glad to be with the same stage as Amalka as well. Nice to meet you after a couple of years, Amalka. It's great to see you're doing well. So yeah, going back to the question. So yeah, so definitely, so that you can look into that question and try to answer in different perspective. And I'll take one perspective here, right? As I mentioned, nowadays people use data science as an umbrella term, right, to cover different analytics areas, right? So machine learning is the heart of that, right? How you extract the knowledge from the data, right? So traditionally, actually, people try to extract the knowledge from a data set in two different ways. One is what's called the backward looking analytics. That is that if you have a data set you collected over the years, then you can look at the data, try to generate some, I don't know, some statistics about that. For example, things like, if you think about industrial perspective, what is the average sale on each month over the last few years, right? And is there any seasonality in that data, etc. So that's called the traditional business analytics. That is that people use to apply some analytics to extract data using historical data. But this is called a bit of backward facing. What you do is you try to interpret what you have already collected, right? So on the other side is what's called the predictive analytics. That is that there what you try to do is you use the historical data, right? Do some analysis, then try to predict the future, right? Predict what would happen in the future, right? So called predictive analytics. In order to do predictive analytics, mainly the techniques we have to use with machine learning, right? So in machine learning, basically what we do is we use the historical data, right? And learn some models, try to understand the models, patterns in the data automatically using training some models, then using those models to make some predictions into the future, right? So that's the machine learning. Then basically you can apply machine learning into two types of data sets. One is called structured data, right? So structured data is all about the data that you store in a relational database, right? It can be a data about the customers in a bank. You have one table containing all the demographic information, name, address, right, age, date of birth, and all the information. Maybe another table containing all the transaction of that customer, right? Things like that. You can have the connections between these tables. So any data is stored in a structured manner in a database called structured data set, right? You can apply machine learning to a structured data set as well, right? So that's one side of application of machine learning. Another side of application of machine learning is basically you can apply machine learning to unstructured data. So these are the data sets like images, text, and speech, right? Normally, when you apply machine learning to unstructured data, that's called the application of AI or artificial intelligence, right? So that's another kind of a way to connect from data science. There's two aspects, backward looking and forward looking. For forward looking, you need machine learning. Machine learning can be applied to structured data, unstructured data. If you apply for unstructured data, it's normally called as AI applications, right? That's one side of things. Then going back, another way is what is AI, right? So there are different definition of AI. AI, the term was coined around, I think, again, 1950s. And then along the years, there were different definition of data science, AI. And there are two sides to AI as well. One is called the artificial general AI. So there, what we try to do is people try to develop systems or that can act and behave like humans, right? Which should have different kind of characteristics like, I don't know, vision, how we can like interpret what you see from the images and the videos, and the understanding of the language, navigation, adaption, automation, all those things into one system. So that's called the artificial general AI, right? And also people have been working on something called the artificial narrow AI. That is that people have been taking these different areas of artificial general AI, like vision, speech, NLP, natural language processing, etc., and try to do research for these different areas to come up with different kind of different systems, right? So, and what I mentioned when I try to mention that application of machine learning for those unstructured data, it's mainly people apply under this artificial narrow AI side of things. That is that how to solve vision problems, how to solve NLP problems, how to solve kind of speech kind of problems and things like that. So that's a kind of another way for AI, how that fits into this analytics landscape. So yeah, so another way to think so you can think of data science as the whole area, right? Then under that you have machine learning. A sub-part of that can be AI as well. So that's my interpretation, one side of interpretation, yeah.
Yes, I guess now everyone got an idea about like earlier I also didn't have this knowledge about like what is these three words, are they connected together or not. Now I guess like everyone is connected from some part to part. And thank you for that, Dr. Rukshan. So continuing on that question, so Mr. Amal, so when we get into the industry, it is very important to know about these things, right? So if you think like when you go to the industry, how important is it to know about the differences or about the users of these sections?
Okay, so Dr. Rukshan has nicely explained it. So let me tell you in the industry point of view that how we see it when we interview someone, when we want to hire someone. So the biggest challenge in this discipline is to how do you model the real world problem into a problem you can compute it in a laptop, right? So how you module it? So it's simply somebody can come and say, okay, I want this to get to done. So now this is a real world problem, and you have to have the skill to module it, to break into the smaller pieces where you can solve it using either machine learning, or people call it either AI or either, so different terms in the industry. So the biggest thing that our biggest challenge or the main skill set that we are checking is how you model it first. So then once you model it, then there are a set of components you can apply simple machine learning. There are a set of components you can apply simple rule. There are a set of components that you can, maybe you can go to a artificial intelligence. So there is no one brain that solve the particular problem that client is coming. So you have to modularize it. That's the first skill that we are checking in the interview. And then what the technique, what the technology that you are going to apply on these separate models. So it could be, again, I'm saying rule-based, simple rule, or it could be a machine learning technique based on the historic data, or it could be a kind of environment setting that you get the input from the environment, then you adjust it, that your particular AI agent will adapt it from the response according to the input that you're getting from the environment. So in industry, so simply if you're coming to an interview, you should get your hands burned, and then you should be able, when we give a simple question, a simple case studies to you, you should be able to break into these smaller pieces, and you should tell us okay, what is the technique you are going to apply, why you are going to apply it, and what is the thought process of you on this area. So that's how we check when we hire someone, because that's the skill, the most important skill when you are coming to the industry. But yes, definitely you need some experience to get this done, but you don't need to come into the, you need to wait till you graduated and come to the industry. You just go to the Kaggle or somewhere else in the competition, real world examples, and then you can see that how critical it is to module this application and then apply this. Okay, whether it's AI, whether it's unsupervised or supervised or RL, so whatever technology is available here. So that's how I interpret your question. And yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Amalka. So I guess it's not just like learning that you have to use it in practical scenarios. That's how you can gain more knowledge and learn about what is happening. And as Mr. Amalka mentioned about the interviews, we are going to talk about them. So stay tuned with us till the end, because this is very important. When you are, if you are going to pursue a career like this, you need definitely to listen to this. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Amalka, again. And so let's move on to the next one. So like it is very important, like when choosing a career, it is very important to know about the existence of a field. Like when you want to start a career, we want to check whether how long can we do this career, or do we have to change. So I would like to direct this question to Dr. Rukshan. So what is your opinion about future careers in the field of data science and artificial intelligence, and the benefits of choosing a path like a lifetime career? What can we gain?
Yeah, so great question. Thanks, Brian. So let's talk a bit about, I think, different areas of career options we have in this area of AI, data science, and machine learning, right? So it's mainly, I like to divide it into two sides, right? First one is the applied side of things. So that's where what Amalka mentioned about, right? Whether you can apply these techniques to generate value for industry like business. It can be a telco, supermarkets, and whatnot, right? So that's where I think we use mainly high data scientists for those areas, right? Nowadays, to apply machine learning with real world data, business data to generate value for the business, right? And the other area is, I would say, research, right? And research is happening not only in academia nowadays, research is happening in industry as well, right? And in research, there are again two sides. One is called the fundamental research, right? So this is where you do machine learning for machine learning. That is that this in fundamental research, what you do is you come up with like different types of new learning algorithms, how we can optimize the existing machine learning algorithms, how we can prove different theorems about that and whatnot, right? And that's one side of that, right? Very theoretical foundational work on machine learning. And especially if you talk about the fundamental research in deep learning side, we can look into three areas nowadays. One area is basically how to come up with different architectures to solve different problems. These are the neural architectures. So there's an area called neural architecture search, etc. People spend a lot of time on that these days as well. Second area is how we can come up with different what we call loss functions. That is that how we can define the difference between what the machine model predicts and the actual, right, using different. So that's another area. And third area is once we have an architecture, once we have a loss function, how we can define what we call a learning algorithm, right, which is the gradient descent is a fundamental workhorse of this area, but how we can define different variations of those learning algorithm in order to learn that architecture that you came up with for the program, right? So that's the fundamental side. The second side is the applied side of research. That's where what you do is basically you apply the existing machine learning methods or do some modification to solve real world problems in other scientific areas, right? So these are like bioinformatics, for example. In that case, you apply machine learning to solve problems in genetics. These can be problems in health informatics. You apply machine learning to solve problems in, I don't know, medical imaging or electronic health records and whatnot, right? Chemoinformatics, physics, astronomy, etc. Right? And as I mentioned, so these research areas not only exist in academia, they also exist in industry nowadays as well, right? So those are the different career options that you can see for in terms of this AI machine learning side of things, right? So in order to answer your question in the future direction, right? And there'll be a lot of those opportunities in the future, because what I'm more interested about the application side nowadays in machine learning, especially to solve problems in something like healthcare, right? Because of the pandemic and other situations. And especially things like genomics, computational drug design, and also computational image processing for medical images and things like that in genomic side, and also agriculture. So there's a precision agriculture. There's a lot of application in that area as well. Transportation and climate change and many of those things, right? Nowadays, actually, you can't find any scientific discipline without any application in machine learning. Any scientific discipline has application in machine learning. So it's called interdisciplinary research, right? So that's I'm pretty excited about. So there'll be a lot of application in research side as well. On the other hand, if you go to the first side, the data science side of things, more and more industries coming into this area nowadays, right? They want to hire data scientists, telco, banks, insurance, etc., etc. So there'll be so much opportunities that area as well. So just want to say that the future of machine learning data science is pretty bright. There'll be a lot of opportunities in the future for students.
Yes, so I think we don't have to worry about not having jobs. I think there will be a lot of job opportunities, as Dr. Rukshan said. So yes, I think everyone is now curious about how many jobs can we have. Is this good to have a lifetime career? So I guess you got the answer for that. So yes, thank you, Dr. Rukshan, for that. So let's move on to the next question. So like it's like this. Nowadays, there's a huge competition. Like if you see, there are a lot of universities that gives the degree for like computer science, software engineering. From everywhere you can get a degree, either it is private or you can take from the state universities. So for a field like this, so Mr. Amalka, what kind of a background do you need in order to become a professional in this path? Not about just like learning something, but becoming a professional in this path.
Okay, so let me add another few thoughts of what Dr. Rukshan has mentioned. So few years back, let's say a decade ago, so only data scientist term was available at that time. Right now, there are so many terms: data translator, analytic PM, analytic BA, then data stewards. And right now, if you are aware, GDPR coming into the picture in Sri Lanka. So there are so many people now. We are looking to hire people who know the law aspect and the data aspect. So there are so many terms coming into the, especially roles. So maybe you know a little bit of computer programming knowledge, but still you have so many areas to work with. So to answer your question that how to become a professional data scientist or a person in this career, in this field. So let me check, tell you that how I conduct interviewing very recently to just hire 6 interns, but we received 100 or the CVs. So the first screening is happening. What are the projects that you have done, right? So you can put, okay, I have done this curriculum in my semester and this like that. But if you haven't done any pet project, if you haven't done anything tangible, so we don't know, because you may know that you do have the knowledge, but we don't know whether you have applied it and you have really know the depth of it, because you don't get the fancy data set that you get in the internet for some MOOCs lectures. When you get the data set, you know that, 100 of fields having the more in our columns than what you ever imagine. So to be a professional, you don't need to wait till graduate. Start something now, right? Create a GitHub repository and do something yourself. Maybe very simple machine learning algorithm. Try to use it and try to solve some problem. So likewise, you build that particular skill, how you decode the problem, how you apply technology, how you apply specific machine learning algorithms or techniques to a problem, how you overcome these challenges. Then when you're coming in, when you at the time that you are being graduated, so you will have very wide experience on what are the challenges you are going to face it. So when you do this, you will know that exactly what is the area that you can really pitch in. That, for example, if you did biology in your A level, so when you searching a problem, I want to apply some technique, then you find it, maybe you find it very familiar, some problem from bioinformatics. So for me, it's not, because I totally came from the mathematics background. So likewise, just try to get go to so many places in forums, competition, hackathons. Go and check. Okay, then you will find definitely what's the area you should maybe it's a natural. Yeah, if you are really good at Tamil, so then similar to Tamil translation. That will be, I mean, I can't do that part. I mean, I can try it, but if you're coming from that type of a background, that's superb. Let's say you did a law in your somewhere else, so you are good at law. Then how about the taking some of the cases law related stuff and do some machine learning stuff, then your that particular domain knowledge come into the picture. If you did athletics in your school, so how about applying machine learning or data science or AI in that particular domain, because you are very familiar, you know how your muscles work, you know how dynamics work. So just try to get your hands burned, then you will definitely know before coming to the first interview, okay, I am good at this area because that's where my domain knowledge came into the picture. And then because you apply some stuff that you have learned in the university, maybe in MOOCs. So super, that's the start point that when you come to the industry, if you are a musician, why don't you try something synthetic music generation, I mean synthetic these type of things. So that's why I think, so if to be a professional uh, to start a professional career in this area, first try to identify where you are good at. Yes, definitely machine learning and data science as a flavor come into the picture, but where are you right now? If you don't have that knowledge, gather that one as. Then come to the interviews with at least 2 to 3 projects that you have done from end to end. Then we know exactly that you know the depth of this one. That's one the answer for your question. In addition to that, there are so many roles. Maybe you don't like coding. Maybe you don't like talking to the people, and when you have a different areas like PMs, BAs, maybe pre-sales engineers, you know concept very well. You can teach someone, okay, this is how it works. So why don't you go to a client and pitch the product that someone has built and in the analytic terms. So there are so many things that you can do, but try to get hands burned. Then you will know where you at and where you are lagging.
Yes. So that means having a good passion will allow you to learn these things, isn't it, Mr. Amalka? Like if you have the passion.
Definitely, if you didn't have the passion, then you don't have any projects on your GitHub repository, right? So if you are passionate about, you should have at least 2 to 3 projects in your backpack right now. Because if you are not passionate, you just listen to the lecturers and you just try to understand it. That's it, right? If you are passionate, you should at least try to apply it. At least try to read several papers and try to understand what this research paper is doing and what are the people around who is using this. So likewise, if you are not passionate, then anyone can catch you at the interviews, because you can show it, but if you we can see it whether you are passionate or not. Definitely you should be passionate. If you are passionate, then definitely you should have applied whatever you learn right now in your pet projects, in your competition, anywhere.
Okay, so I think that was very informative, and thank you, Dr. Rukshan and Amalka, for what kind of things we need to enhance. And I think it is very explained that we need to have the passion, and just going to lectures not gonna give you any skills. You have to use them, and like having practical skills and having as Amalka said, Mr. Amalka said, we need to use them. And so moving as we talked about the interviews, so we are going to talk more about these interviews. So it is also something we have to think, right? So having a good background, skill set, like it's often not enough, like we to get through an interview. I think most of the students think that if they have the technical skills, it's just enough to get a job in a field like this. So is it true, Dr. Rukshan? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it depends the level and the job that you apply. And thanks, Amalka, talking about those different areas of job opportunities we have in the data science, right? It's a very huge spectrum at the moment. And I would start before answering that question, just to fill in some of the things Amalka mentioned, right, regarding and how would you develop this if you want to do it systematically or if you want to do it like an ad hoc manner or whatever, right? So depending on the time and the course that you follow, etc., how we can go in this direction and develop your skills. Normally, so I tend to advise people in terms of kind of a pyramid kind of a level you can build your knowledge, right? Let's say if you have the luxury of learning the fundamentals in the current course that you're following at the university or elsewhere, things like mathematics, statistics, and computer science, especially the programming bit. So that's going to be the fundamentals of everything data science, machine learning, and AI, right? So when you follow your statistics courses, when you follow the mathematics courses, you follow the computer science courses, right? Nowadays, you can try to link those courses to all the areas of mathematics and computer science. Sorry, you can link those fundamentals to the area of AI and machine learning as well, ask for your lecturers, etc. And then you can get some you can be enthusiastic about what you're learning, those fundamentals, right? So that's once you have good fundamentals and foundation, you can build a lot of cool things on top of that, right? So that's what the first layer, right? And the second layer is once you know those fundamentals, you can start learning about machine learning. In this case, following a course in your degree, or if not, there's a lot of courses in online courses like MOOCs available, as Amalka mentioned, right? Coursera, for example, it's a really good course by Stanford, right? That many people recommend by Andrew Ng. So you can follow that machine learning course, right? But if you don't have the luxury of following the fundamentals during undergrad degree, what you can do is you can try to jump into a machine learning course like this CS229 Stanford. Then you see what are the things that you're missing in the fundamental level. Then you can go back and you have to learn those things, right? Don't try to keep the loopholes in the fundamentals. I know that you can't learn everything, right? But as long as you can learn what is required for that to follow that machine learning course, all the probability theory, linear algebra, and all those things, that would be good enough, right? For you to understand how those algorithms work and things like that. That's the second layer, right? And on top of that, then you can jump into and learn about deep learning, right? My advice is generally don't start with deep learning, because deep learning misses a lot of fundamentals in statistics, right? Start with machine learning. Best thing is to start with fundamentals, go into machine learning. If not, start with machine learning and learn the fundamentals while you are learning machine learning. Then jump into deep learning, right? So then you can learn about computer vision algorithms, like all these different types of architectures and deep learning and things like that. So that's the kind of your theoretical knowledge that you build. Then while you're following these online courses, also try to complete the tutorials. That's very important. Although those data sets come as very curated data sets, right, for that course, as Amalka mentioned, those don't represent the real world cases, but at least you get some experience of how to apply that algorithm for this problem at your hand by following those tutorials end to end, right? And that's it. Then after deep learning, what you can do is you can try to learn about the existing cloud architectures. There are a lot of courses about how to work with AWS, how to work with like Google Cloud System, Microsoft Azure, and things like that, right? And in parallel, you can also try to play with the existing real-world data sets, like Kaggle competition is a good way to learn that, right? So, but the problem is Kaggle is it does not give you the experience of problem formulation, because you already have a data set that's captured somewhere. Then again, you try to learn things like once you have a data set with all the problems in the real world, then how you can apply machine learning. Things like there's a lot of missing values, a lot of incorrect values, how you can tune that data set, how you can do the feature engineering and all those things, right? Lots of class imbalance, for example, in those data sets, things like that, right? So then those are the things you can learn, right? Then in addition to that, actually, so that problem formulation bit, once we have a real world problem, especially a business problem, how we can convert that into a machine learning problem. Those things normally you have to learn at the internship time, because normally at the undergrad level, you're not dealing with companies and you don't have the access to business problems, right? But the good thing is, as Amalka mentioned, what you can do is you can try to choose a final year undergrad project in an area that you're passionate about. That's a real world problem, which is maybe not in business, but maybe in other scientific area. Then try to convert that problem into a machine learning problem. Then you learn that skill, right? It's how you can bridge that gap between real world problem and a modeling problem, right? So, and then building those skills, then you can, I think, you can, if you follow an internship or if you start a job as a junior analyst or data scientist during the first couple of months, couple of years, you learn about all those skills regarding how you can convert those business problems into machine learning problems. Then you can, how you can develop a system, then how you can evaluate the system in order to solve that business problem, and so on and so forth, right? So on top of that, all the technical skills, just going back to your question, you also need to develop other skills around that as well. This is the first one is the problem solving. It's in general. So this is where you need to convert in those business problem or any real world problem into a machine learning type of problem. The second one is project management. Then once you develop a once you come up with a solution, how you can develop a solution within given amount of time with respect to the resources that you have, the resources in terms of the computing resources, people, and also budget and time, etc. Right? So in addition to that, another skill is a communication skills, right? How you can communicate with different people in your organization, right? So think about a business setting. So you have different stakeholders, right? You have people from your, I don't know, business side, the C-level, like CEOs, CMOs, right? Those kind of people who doesn't understand much of technical stuff, but who care about the business. Then how we can communicate all these insights or what you're doing, right, in the technical space in a non-technical language so that they can understand. You will develop those skills over time, right? But you can start with good communication skills, right? For example, this is like, you can learn those things by following, I don't know, the presentation skills and other things by presenting to your colleagues at the university and doing different seminars and also things like that, and also teaching as well. Then you learn about those communication and presentation skills. So that's about simplifying this technical stuff to a non-technical audience. At the same time, you work with other technical people in your organizations, like people from the engineering side, right? So people from the engineer side and the machine learning, sometimes they talk about different languages, right? Engineers, they see world as, or problems as, very deterministic problems, right? So that is because they start with some business problem definition and they want to develop some system to solve that business problem. Usually there's a deterministic solution for that business problem. But in machine learning, what happens is most of the problems are non-deterministic in the sense that you start with the business problem, then you have a data set. Until you look at the data and build a model, you don't know what's in the data set, right? Because there's a lot of noise in the data, a lot of garbage in the data and all those things. Because of that, you can't guarantee the outcome from machine learning solution. So then how you can convince that bit into a sales, your leadership in organization, at the same time to engineering side is a bit of a challenge. So you have to develop these skills over time just to pass on that message to them and upskill themselves as well with respect to setting the right expectation, right? So, and also having that non-deterministic mindset and also being very creative is very important as well, because if you can't get the answer that business is expecting on a particular data set, how you can turn the problem around in such a way that how you can try to find an answer to a related problem, not the problem that you started with, but there may be a different problem that you can solve based on the insights that you generated. So you can justify the value or the time that you spend on that project, right? So those are, I think, very, very important skills in industry-wise. So before going to an interview, you can develop those technical skills up to some extent, right? And also some of those non-technical skills by interacting, presenting, creating presentations with the projects that you do, etc. as well. And then you can learn a lot of those skills, other skills like business skills, communication, all those things while you're doing your internship or during the first couple of years in the industry. So that's how I would say those different skills.
Yes, I think everyone got an idea about, it's not just having technical skills, it's all about from the start. You have to start from the fundamentals. If I'm wrong, please correct me, Dr. Rukshan. So from the fundamentals, you need to start, and then you have to develop your skills, technical skills. And then you have to start with projects and do some practical things. And then also the soft skills like leadership, like having communication between each other, like you said, project management, those are also necessary. So if you have all these things, that will be very beneficial when you face an interview. Is it right, Dr. Rukshan?
Yeah, I think you summarized this very well. And the other thing is, I just wanted to let you guys know that because you can get overwhelmed as well these days because there's a lot of materials available online if you try to jump in across multiple courses. But don't get overwhelmed. Focus on the fundamentals. Once you know the fundamentals well, you can try to learn. You can learn any new thing comes up within a couple of hours or a couple of days, right? But if you lack the fundamentals, that's where you have to struggle every time when new things you have to learn, right? Focus on the fundamentals and you'll be good. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rukshan, about that good explanation about that. So, like when Dr. Rukshan talked about this online available, there are so many platforms, there are so many ways we can gain knowledge, but we are not sure whether this is the right place to study. We can get overwhelmed. Like, so moving from that, like these days, people like try to earn so many online certification through different platforms. If, for an example, if we go on LinkedIn, we can see that our friends have posted so many certificates from different platforms. They have completed this and that, but sometimes we feel like whether is this necessary for our career. So if like putting certificates on the way that we have completed. So and also when it comes to platform like GitHub, Stack Overflow, so will doing these things be an added benefit for us, Mr. Amalka, like doing certificates like that, like will that be a benefit for us?
Okay, so before I answer that question, that I actually chose that Dr. Rukshan has nicely put it, how you can organize, I mean, how you can structure your knowledge on the pyramid. That I use the second method because that when I entered the industry, that this term is very novel. So we were born a little bit earlier than I think because if we born later, then definitely we will jump into the structured approach. So I use the second method that I start with the problem, then go back to the basics problem, and then try to apply something. And if I don't know, then go to the basics. So it's a back and forth method. So normally this is called problem-based learning. So that's how I applied. So it definitely it will limit to the problem. And if you try so many problems, then your knowledge will get the with I mean that you get that there's a I mean some kind of pros and cons in that area. But if you don't have time, just start with the problem and then go to the basics. So that's what I actually followed, and thanks Dr. Rukshan is nicely put into the that framework. Then the doing courses, right? So again, simply doing courses will increase your confidence, right? That's all. I mean, we are not checking. I mean, normally we will see whether you are doing courses just to check whether you are up to date, right? What are the forums that you are following, what are the people that you are following in Twitter or somewhere else, whether you know the terms, whether you are connected with the community. So in order to check, where we are checking whether you have done the courses, but courses will only give you, I mean, courses not only, courses will give you the confidence and the knowledge. So if you do one courses, let's say, I mean, if you select as one course and if you audit it, then if you feel, okay, this is okay for me, then if you do a one course, it will open for another, I mean, 10 to 20 areas that you have to look more, right? Because then there's a one area coming into the picture, you haven't touched it before in this course, then it will open for another course, not another course, another area, another two. Even YouTube, even one PDF, even one slide share in some area. So starting from one will lead open for many doors for you. So yes, if you have the time, if you have the discipline to do these courses, and even you don't need to complete it, try to audit it, try to practice it. So whenever you have time, do it. It will add to add knowledge to you, and as well as your confidence. But there are some certification we clearly looking at, as Dr. Rukshan mentioned, those are the cloud certification. So this is more than the knowledge, it is the skill. So cloud skill, we seeing, okay, whether you have some experience and you have some kind of confidence to work on this area. Let me tell you why we are looking at this area, because most few years back people were going for the on-prem solution, that all the data centers, everything in the on-premises. Right now it's migrated to the cloud, everybody migrated to the cloud. So there are so much requirement in the field industry that we need the skill, we need the people to accommodate this rapid transformation or rapid migration. So if you have done any cloud certification, that definitely add value, because we know that you have some kind of skill set. The last thing that I want to add you, when we hire right now, it's totally different at the time that I am entering the industry in 2007. When I joined my first company, I had around 2 to 3 months kind of going here and there, talking to the people, getting groomed, unknown people, and then learn things, right? But today, when we hire someone, the next day, you should be able to fly somewhere else into the client in maybe Malaysia and somewhere else and start working there. So here, now that grooming period is, I mean, almost zero, right? So we see whether you have confidence, and maybe you haven't the experience on doing that, but if you have the confidence, go to the client, talk to it and try out, and working with the team, the next day you will have the you have to report to the client's office, not the your organization office. So because of that, just do these courses. This will add the confidence to you. you can talk and you can express your idea, you can clarify things. So likewise, it's like you are reading books, right? If you read Muddle the Word, that doesn't mean that you don't read Ambealo, right? There's different flavors adding and it will link to a different areas. For the certification, we will not look at whether you have completed this certification. Yeah, it's nice that you put it in the LinkedIn profile. It will attract some community people and we'll work on it. Then again, that I really like Kaggle competition, not because of the competition. I normally join randomly some competition. I will just get an idea a couple of weeks what is this competition is all about. After that, I'm not going to code it. I'm just going to the discussion forum. So I will see what are people doing, what are people talking, is there something new, are they talking something really cool stuff, then I will try it. So I can see a lot of Russians and Chinese trying so many different techniques and different mechanisms. They are, I mean, those are novel. I mean, it doesn't mean that they will work it. So that's why I said it is not all about that you do something and tick it and put the 2 lines under that and okay, I'm done. Not like that. Just curious about it. Go to these courses, try to audit it. If this particular feature is fit for you, we all know that during our A-level, during our university times, some professors click us, right? That we know whatever he say, we understood. Some people, even we know, we will not understand. That's not his problem because we don't have that. I mean, what we don't have. I mean, as a you don't have the skill set to understand what is he saying, but some people will understand it. So likewise, that courses available, maybe some teachers doesn't fit for you and that his mechanism doesn't fit for you. Just go and try everything. So then the Stack Overflow and GitHub. So build your GitHub profile and Stack Overflow presence as well. This will lead so much artifacts for you if you are going to industry. I mean, if you're going to academic, yes, you will have different path. If you're coming to the industry, these artifacts just copy paste and in your next project, right? You build this your tool stack because I mean, it's not about just copy paste every day and get put in there. It's your flavor. You understood this particular function. Just build it, put it somewhere else. Whenever needed, you just take it and apply it some of the project. It will reduce a lot of time. Otherwise, you have to go back and see where I save it, and normally people will have this issue. So that's in a nutshell. Do the courses, no harm. It will build your confidence. If this particular lecture fit for you, then go for other courses of him, and it will open up several other doors for you. Go knock these doors and try it out and see whether these are fine for you. If you are really enthusiastic, why don't you go dig and deep these areas? So it's all about trying it out and go and see.
Yes, every door opens an opportunity, right? Like every door, why don't you go explore that? It's very important. So I guess that was very informative. I think everyone got an idea about what this is and what kind is this necessary. I think everyone have an idea about now. Go for everything and try it. So then it will be you'll learn something, or you might go to you might find different paths. You need to learn this or that. So I guess for me also it is very informative, and thank you for that, Amalka, Dr. Rukshan, about it.
And one thing again, that it's not only the courses. If there are meetups, if there are places, just invest those money and time and go there. So I listened to Dr. Rukshan, some of these conferences where I paid my pocket. Company doesn't sponsor. So I paid my pocket and I went to these places and I listened to some of the people who are talking and Dr. Rukshan. At that time, I remember I really liked that Dr. Rukshan and Dr. Sandeep Jaisumanan's talking here. It will lead up to so many other areas, especially Dr. Rukshan's from my ML Ops area that I have into that area. I mean, I read a lot about it. So likewise, just went and just give you my experience in 2010 when I want to jump into this area. Then I really I overwhelmed at that time because MOOCs give me so much information. I like, okay, what is going on? So I really wanted to see what actually happening out there. So then I subscribed for a conference. Then I went to Singapore. All the tickets and conference tickets was paid by my pocket, and all my savings went there to see that what these people are talking to these people, because I just know the surface of it. So then I realized that I met several guys from at that time from Microsoft that people have came here and doing data scientists. At that time, they are building that whole area. So that's why I said, if you there's meetup, if you have time, why don't you go there and sit and have what people are talking? Maybe it's overshooting your head and you don't understand anything. But just why then you can come back and read those stuff. So
Yeah.
this network is very, very well because data science still, I feel, it's a community driven. I mean, people drive this. Still, I mean, there are so many textbooks, there are professors talking about, but still so much information, so much things driven by community and self-proclaimed data scientists. They are really good. I mean, sometimes, yes, be careful. People will tell a different story, but then you have some kind of a balance out there, and you know whether this person is lying or not.
Yeah, and also with this current pandemic situation, a lot of events have been up to online. I think that would be a benefit. Like you don't have to travel; you can just sit through and watch the conference hall by using your computer. So that will be a since we have this opportunity, we should grab it. So it was a back then it was very hard. Like I was said, spending your money and that passion is where you got both of you came to this area. So I think that would be very good for everyone to learn about everything, not just stay in one thing and stay just for degree. Learn everything, try everything. So I think that's what I learned from it, and that was very good for me as well, and for everyone who's listening to this session. So yes. So Dr. Ruksha, so we are actually in a third world developing country. So the infrastructure of a country is the main part. So which this would help for country to be sustainable development if we take about sustainable development and things like that. So according to your opinion, Dr. Chan, how come these fields will be helpful to achieve this goal? Like for example, about sustainable development goals, inform like things like that. How can we develop?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think any developing country can leverage a lot from these technologies, especially AI, machine learning side of things, especially the how you can optimize the scarcity of resources that you have. Right? That's a problem that you face in the developing country, right? We have like so much of like only resources. There's a lot of people like competing for those resources, right? Then how we can optimize. Think about the areas like transportation, right? Areas like healthcare in Sri Lanka, right? So you can leverage a lot from this technology. For example, think about healthcare, right? So you can try to develop some systems to collect all the data, right? Even in hospitals and also in communities like health activities around Sri Lanka, right? Nowadays, I think most of them are in paper-based. Maybe I think some of them are moving into the digitization. So, but once you collect that data, then you can apply the analytics, right, to do a lot of optimization. So historically, I used to think about this as in 3 layers. First one is the digitization, right? You have to digitize the information that you have to collect that, right, from agriculture, healthcare, transportation, education, etc. in Sri Lanka, like developing countries. Once we have the data collected, then you can do the analytics, right? There's a machine learning or anything that you do on top of that. Then you can optimize those services based on the information that you can get, the insights that you generate, right? So that's the area that I see, as I mentioned again, transportation, healthcare, agriculture, and whatnot, right? Education, right? Any different areas you can try to optimize within the country. That's one side of thing. And the second side is actually not only the benefit for the country, but also for the region as well. And also getting that financial benefit back to the country through things like startups and other companies investing in this area, building products and services, right? Then we can sell in those products and services to other countries, maybe neighboring countries, right? There's a lot of developing countries around having the similar problems, right? Maybe in agriculture or transportation and whatnot, right? Then you can try to export those services and bring those like money back to the country, right? So revenue back to the country, that's the second area. And third area might be investing in the people skills, right? And developing the work community or the workforce for, right, other organizations, right, around the world. Maybe it's just that how we can develop graduates having the necessary data science skills so that they can find, I don't know, jobs and in other countries, or maybe they can start those like a startups, other things within the country and bringing back those additional revenue back to the country, right? So I see these different applications, right, also in the social side of things and also in business side of things in developing countries to go into these different areas, right? And the other side is, I think, in the business side of things as well. Nowadays, I know that in Sri Lanka, like telcos and also supermarkets are getting into this area and do great work to like build a community at the same time, having those internships available, etc. But also other traditional organizations, there's a great opportunity as well, like banks, insurance companies, etc. getting to this area. Because when you talk about data science, that is where you see a lot of opportunities in other countries. Right? It's not in software companies, it's in traditional business, like in supermarkets, telco, bank, insurance, where they want to leverage the data that they have and add value to the business, right? And in business side, and also are the other traditional industries like agriculture, etc., right? Healthcare, etc., hospitality, etc., right? Because Sri Lanka is trying to rely on hospitality a lot. How we can analyze the data and the patterns that we have already gathered or start gathering, then how we can make things efficient, right? So I think there's tons of a lot of opportunities in that area, but that involves I think multiple things, building these I think human skills, human workforce. That's where the universities comes in, I think, right? Having those right skills. And the second one is, I think, having the right type of investments to form the digitization, right? That's where you have to collect the information before you do anything, right? And then move into that direction in terms of social side of things in Sri Lanka. So yeah, so that I'll stop it there. So that's sort of kind of the view that I have.
Okay. So yes, so I think we are not in a place that we can't develop this country, right? So we can develop this country. So we just have to use the necessary technology to develop this country. Yes. So I think everyone got that idea. So this we have an interesting part also coming up next. So about this, like we have seen movies, right? From even in childhood, we have seen like when robots are going to invade the whole world, the artificial intelligence going to like rule the world. Like robots are becoming more intelligent than human, and they are trying to like control the world. So can this happen like with the development, so that we are in the peak of the development, like artificial intelligence? For example, if you see there are cars that can drive without the help of the driver. So will it go for a place where like in a bad manner, like which could affect the human, like human being? So Mr. Amalka, what are your thoughts about this?
Okay, so I think best person to answer this question is Dr. Rukshan, because he has interacted so many people by discussing this area. Let me put in, this is only my thought and maybe try to, maybe it wrong. So this type of things happen in the past as well, right? So when AC current versus DC, AC versus DC, people were scared of AC. Then horse carriages versus cars, right? People were scared of it. Then suddenly aviation versus ground travel, then ships. But now the safest mode is aviation. So likewise, when there's a technology drift, these type of things coming into the picture. But I think but for this is my personal feeling. So when you build something, the break also built by the human, right? So it won't happen, because when you build the AI, let's say your general AI is being built, so then there's particular good element and the breaking part and everything also come into the picture. It's like that you do have missiles, right? You can fire missiles, but missile shields also available. So now you can protect it from there as well. So every time when you have a virus, when you create a virus, you have the virus guard as well. So likewise, there are so many things coming into the picture. When you build something, all the regulatory, human will not kill by themselves. Even there are some people who want to do it, but the large majority will try to survive from that as well. So that's why GDPR coming into the picture, whether how ethically we can use this data into AI, and how we can prevent, how we can assure privacy of the people. So likewise, how, you can see the Mark Zuckerberg, how many times he went to Senate hearings and he has to explain everything what he's doing and is it right, and so many questions are being asked. So likewise, for me, AI, even general AI, has been built for maybe in another 100 years. Then break also come into the picture, and there's another area that, okay, if it comes, this will break it. So that's my idea. I don't know whether it will be, different people think different way. Again, I think it's more like that. If you do have good people, you do have bad people. So good day will be available. So it's like that. It's a balance. I don't think that the human will kill themselves in a kind of a genocide way. that manner. So that's my idea. I don't know, I mean, how it happened.
It's always the perspective of the people who think.
Yeah, even now coronavirus, right? That vaccine, how many anti-vaxxers right now
Yes.
campaigning it? I'm thinking almost 50-50, right? In Sri Lanka, not on Sri Lanka. So, but it's here good. I mean, it's their perspective. Uh, Likewise, in this area also, general AI, I don't. It will powerful definitely, and it will catch the thief. It will catch some anomalies, everything. But at the same time, the break also will be created by humans to regulate it.
Yes, yes, I guess. Yeah, it's all about the people who there can be bad people, there can be good people. It's like having a cyber attacks at the same time there's cyber security to prevent that. So, Dr. Rukshan, what do you think? Since we are not good, we are not professional in these fields. So, like, how it will be like in let's see, like in 2060, 80, maybe 2000, after that, after this century, is can you see something is going to happen, like something a big major improvement is going to happen in artificial intelligence? Is there something that you can guess that something would happen so that we can understand?
Yeah, although we
Dr. Rukshan, your mic is on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I was saying, so even though we work on in the area of building predictive models, it's really hard to predict the future, right? Individually, what's going to happen, right? So, but what I can say is that now, if you look at the past, right, like, so what you're going through is the next evolution of automation, right? Now think about like going back to hundreds of years in the past, right? People used initially, right? People used to walk, right? They didn't have anything to ride on, right? Then they developed carts, right? So they use animals to power the carts, right? Then after some time, the Industrial Revolution came. Then they developed mechanical systems, right? Like I don't know, so the trains and other things, right? So to power those vehicles that they built. Then around, I think then after that, the electronics came in, right? So then try to embed electronics into these systems to control, right? Then on top of that, then the computers came in around 80s or before that, right? Then people developed software to control hardware, right? So that is that what you need to get done, then people develop hardware, the mechanical systems, then software to control the mechanical systems, right? So then software, if you think about the software can solve, right? Software is about converting some inputs to outputs, right? You have some inputs, software does some operations and converting output. But there are so many problems in the real world, you can't write that software as a program. We don't know how to write a program to convert, I don't know, classify the images of dogs from cats. That's where the AI come in, right? So that's where the machine learning comes in. You use the data to build that software to do the task. So that's what I'm saying. This is what you're going through is the machine learning and AI is the next evolution of automation piece, right? Writing a software for the hard problems, right? There are plenty of hard problems available nowadays, as I mentioned, the area of like healthcare, right? Drug design, bioinformatics, and also transportation, agriculture, global warming, etc. Right? So I'm pretty optimistic about the application of narrow AI techniques to solve these different techniques, right? How we can make the world a better place, right? So I don't have much comments on general AI side of things, right? Because something may happen, some breakthroughs may happen, I don't know, maybe 50, 100 years in the future, but I don't know, I can't predict or any speculate about that. But I'm pretty excited about what's happening in the narrow AI side of things. We have so many application areas, right, it's coming out, right, as we speak. So that's my answer to that.
Yes, okay. So expecting the unexpected is like something we have to be okay with. We don't know to which corner this would happen. Like say, like Dr. Rukshan mentioned, there are global warming happening. There are so many problems. So I think this technology, I hopefully think that this technology will be used to overcome these problems, and finally we will be able to have a good life. So so I think we had a good session by having good questions. I think we got good explanation from both Dr. Rukshan and Mr. Amalka. And finally, and I'm going to cap it off with a final question. So I'll start from Mr. Amalka. So do you have any final message to the people to every student who is going to follow a career in this path, or who's already following a career in this path? Is there a final message that you want to give to them?
Yeah, I mean, that throughout the session, I always said that try things out in from the available thing. I mean, if you have a data set, try it out, try what you can do. When you get a problem, go to the basics and then learn it and come and again try it out. So likewise, practice more. Then maybe you will go here and there. Today you work in sport related stuff. Tomorrow you are going to work in machine learning. I mean, music related stuff, and still machine learning applied on those areas. But when you are ready to come, step into the industry, those dot can be connected somehow, right? That's the I mean the overall idea I want to give. But if I want to give a message, as Dr. Rukshan also mentioned in lightly, don't aim locally, aim regionally, right? Try to aim if you want to position your skill set or your knowledge or your services in an area. I think about at least region, at least South Asian region. So that's where you can raise your bars. Otherwise, everybody, and in our time also, everybody wants to join Sri Lankan company, right? People looking, okay, what is the best telco right now? I want to go there. What is the best in Sri Lanka? So no, just check what happened in at least South Asian region, then aim raise your bars and try to join the global companies. Think about that you are a global asset, not a local asset. So that you are being converted to a global engineer or global data scientist. So maybe you will work in Sri Lanka, but you are working for a company in Vienna, or maybe in New York, maybe in Sydney. So that's happened with now that is because of COVID digitization and COVID push into the digitization, people work from home. So always raise your bars to work in totally different context. Not don't ever look into Sri Lankan companies. I mean, you will land the Sri Lankan companies, but always raise bar to work. Think about, okay, I'm a global asset. Who knows? You may work like Dr. Rukshan in Google, maybe some startup that who will beat all these Elon Musk, Google, and everyone in the next couple of years, right? We don't know. I mean, next startup is already taking into the big coming into the picture, beating all those giants. So think about globally and raise your bars, and never ever think about, okay, my target is to join this telco in Sri Lanka. No, your target should be, okay, this is the best telco, and Sri Lanka also have a telco. So I am a global asset. I am available for hiring anyone in the world. So likewise, that's the message, and I mean the focus message that I want to give to the audience.
That's a good achievement as well, and congratulations for you that Mr. Amal, for achieving that goal. So, Dr. Rukshan, is there anything you want to give as a final message to everyone who's listening to this?
Yeah, so thanks, Amalka, for setting the scene for my message on top of that. So it's great that you mentioned that, think globally as well. So when you try to think about that, I think two things. First one is working in this area is a journey, right? That is, it's not like you complete your degree and you start a job and you stop learning. It's not that case, right? If you work in the area of data science and AI, you have to keep yourself up to date, right, regularly. Sometimes you miss, because there are nowadays, think about deep learning, right? Like hundreds of papers being published in archive every day, right? So I'm not saying that you have to read everything, right? But you have to update your knowledge like regularly, right, in this area, right? So that's why I think following the right people, looking to the courses and attending seminars and other things, Amalka mentioned, as very important, right? Keeping the finger on the pulse, so what's happening, right? And one thing's helping you to get there, to keep your eye on what's changing, is having a good understanding about fundamentals. Again, I'm trying to emphasize that, right? As an undergrad, right, don't think too much about what's the latest and greatest of the deep learning algorithms that published last week. It shouldn't be your goal. Your goal should be, as an undergrad, learning these fundamentals of machine learning, statistics, mathematics, and whatever you can grab well, right? It can be through systematic view, it can be through Amalka mentioned, finding a problem and try to go back to the fundamentals and learning that, right? Spend 3 or 4 years you have well to learn your fundamentals. Once you have really good fundamentals, then you can easily build all those additional things on top of that. That'll, I think, make you ready for the global market. Because I'm giving an example, right? So if you go and try to apply for a position, a data scientist in a global company, like for example, let's say in a fan company or whatever, right? Then you are normally tested for fundamentals first, right? they will ask questions like whether you know your central limit theorem, whether you know how to validate your hypothesis, what is a null hypothesis versus alternative hypothesis, what is a type 1 error versus type 2 error. They don't ask you a question about what is the latest algorithm to do image classification. You see what I mean? So because people know that as long as you know your fundamentals, you can learn things within a couple of hours or a couple of days, right? So in that case, spend your time there during undergrad level. Either if you want to follow some additional courses, read books, following tutorials, etc., do that, and spend time learning the fundamentals. At the same time, get some practice, right? Applying fundamentals to solve real world problems with Kaggle computation and other things, and focus on that, and you'll be fine. And think about this as a journey. And always you have the opportunity to follow other things as well. After undergrad, either masters on other things. If you want to have a stamp in your CV, right, you followed something systematically in that area, you have that opportunity as well, or join the industry, and also opportunities in research and also in applied side of things as well. And yeah, that's my last message, and good luck to you all.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Rukshan and Mr. Amalka. But we have got a small question from Slido, which we have provided for the viewers to send them questions. So most of the questions were clarified with this throughout the session. But as a final question, there was one question. So I think it will be a very important question for everyone else too. So the question is, if you are hoping to go abroad, if you are finding a foreign job or work in a reputed company, which is all around the world, what can you do? How can you apply? So is there a proper way to do? Do you have to be more professional than when you're applying for a local job? So is there a difference between that, or are there opportunities? How can we apply? I think we can ask from both of you, Dr. Rukshan. Okay.
Okay, I can start. So I think it depends on the company and depends on the position that you apply on those two things, right? It's much easier to get into an internship in a global company than apply for a permanent position, right? And the second thing is it's much easier to get a permanent or internship in a local company or regional company than applying for a, I don't know, top company, right? So it depends on the position and the company that you apply. But what you can do is you can better prepare yourself. That is that normally companies look for at least an undergrad degree to start things, right? So you need to have some undergrad degree in the area of either engineering or computer science, statistics, mathematics related to these areas, right? Then on top of that, if you can go and do a master's, that value advantage, right? Value add. And if you have a PhD, another value add, right? To apply for a top company, right? So that's about your educational side of things, like having those systematic education. In addition to that, the applied side of things, right? So whether you have built those artifacts, as Amalka mentioned, right? Whether you have published them somewhere, or if you have some experience that you develop through internships or working in local or regional or global companies, it's also an added advantage as well, right? Sometimes it's really hard for you to get those skills, right? Find those jobs, right? In that case, what you can do is maybe you can try to join a local startup, maybe, right? Then you can build those skills. Primarily, that's how I build my most of our industrial skills, because after coming from academia to industry, I was part of a startup, right? So I worked there for 3 years. Basically, then I learned a lot of my skills from wearing multiple hats, from as I'm working as a data scientist, machine learning engineer, and salesperson sometimes, etc. Right? So basically, if you work in a startup, then you'll get the opportunity to wear multiple hats, right? Then you can develop all those skills, necessary skills, right? So those are the main things you have to focus. And then I think depending on the skills and the educational and also this experience that you have, then you can decide where to apply, right? So as I mentioned again, it's not there's no one size fit all kind of a pathway. It's a journey. Some people have slightly different ways of traveling through this journey. So what you have to think about is this as a journey, right? So there are so much opportunities to pivot onto different areas that you want to pivot and learn and also develop your own career, right? So good thing about this area is like is in software engineering, it's you own your career pretty much, right? Because there's so much opportunities and resources available for you to learn at the same time to apply those things and improve the skills and into the go into the area that you want to go. And also maybe you can try to look for other people and get some mentorship as well. So mentoring, find right mentors is very important as well in this area, because nowadays there's so much information available, right? You sometimes it would be hard for people to separate out signals from the noise in the information that you have available in the world. So sometimes having good mentors would be helpful for you to show. So these are the right things you can follow to accelerate your journey in this area. So those are a couple of thoughts I have.
Okay. So yes, we got a reward from Dr. Rukshan. So from Mr. Amalka. So what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, in addition to what Dr. Rukshan mentioned, in industry is normally always recommendation is more powerful. So if you build your network, if you work with people and you impress themselves, right? Let's say now today you work with me, and tomorrow I leave to another global. I mean, I leave to a company which is global, which is recognized. So if there's a opportunity came up, then I'll remember that who are the people to recommend and why don't you go and hunt these people. So likewise, build your network. Also, it's very important. Maybe they are very senior, maybe they are very junior, but it doesn't matter, right? So let's say now you have a very junior person, somehow that person get into Microsoft, right? So then if there's opportunity, he will tell us that particular senior people, sir, do you know that there's a chance here, why don't you apply and I can give you some support. Not support means the illegal way, they will give the information. Likewise, just it doesn't matter he's junior or senior or somehow, maybe even that person is not in particular discipline or AI discipline, but he is one that who is doing some let's say it's a CFO, right, in a small startup, right? So these people have different network. Like in LinkedIn, everybody say that you can reach anyone, even Joe Biden with the 8 people, right? Which is short. That's the largest right now, 8 or 7. So like build your network as much as you can. It's more. It's very important. Yes, you can apply. That's a direct code. It has to be also there. Meanwhile, we are working. Try to impress. Try to help everyone. In data science, the people always want to learn things. And if you got a question, try to teach him. Try to give your knowledge. Don't ever keep it to yourself, because that doesn't add any value. As I said, this for me, because I came from the ad hoc basis, not from the very structured manner. So it's all about community driven. So people, there a couple of days back that I want to do different Kubeflow implementation. That particular lab failed in this particular course. But then I went to the forums, everybody asking, okay, how it's been done, likewise. So then, but somehow due to a luck that I got it, I got it fixed. Then I wrote back to the people, look, I have done it. This is how it is been done. So these people now completed and sending thanks notes to me. So likewise, just try to give it back to the society, the community as well. This will help you a lot, that people will remember, right? If you, who knows, right? Even if a security guy goes for a big corporate giant and he's become a security officer, he will remember you. Look, I know a person, why don't you call and try it? So there's a phase that you will go after companies, and after that there's a phase that company will come after you. So try to minimize that gap. The time that you go after the companies, try to minimize that by networking, by having fundamentals that Dr. Rukshan said. I have failed so many Singaporean companies because they have tested fundamental a lot, right? I have formulate problem, everything nice, and then suddenly that they came with fundamental that fox me somehow. So likewise, you may fail, right? That fail means that particular interview, it will guide you. Okay, this is what I want to fix in. Okay, next after 3 months, go and try something else. So it's all about for me community driven. Follow the people. Like look. I remember Dr. Rukshan, Dr. Sandeep Jayasuna, Dr. Krishanta Fernando from evolutionary algorithm. So these some names I just throwing out. Meet people, follow their articles, follow what they are talking about. Then when I applied, when I joined the Kaggle competition, that whoever winners, I go and subscribe them. I wrote to them, congratulate them. So because I learned them a lot, then I send an emails. Okay, if you something new, why don't you share with me? So likewise, it's not about that you are trying to impress and look, I am here, and you are trying to be a kind of a person looking for jobs. It's about that being with the community, that they will help you. I mean, in a nutshell, that you know that in your batch, when you go out, how many people will remember this guy and that guy? Because the people who have helped a lot and who have been socialized a lot, and likewise, right? That networking matters in industry a lot, and even not in industry. I think academia. Dr. Rukshan might asked, if you want to find a PhD, the most of the time is come with networking, right? You're a professor, or maybe you're one of the colleague who is studying there. So it's, I mean, for me, it's a 70 to 80% comes with the recommendation and networking. So that's one of the piece I want to highlight on top of what Dr. Vishan mentioned: fundamentals, networking, and then get your hands burned.
Okay, so very informative. Thank you, Mr. Amalka and Dr. Rukshan, for giving that idea of how we should build up our journey and start our career. It's not just studying or getting degree or applying for job. It is like being passionate about things and just going everywhere, finding everything, being very encouraged to find everything, being thinking about every time. So I think that was very important for us and everyone who's going to follow a path like this, and even the people who are still in the field. So I think everyone who joined this session learned something really good, and it was a very productive and informative session, and I'm sure you all will agree with me. Dr. Rukshan Batuwita and Mr. Amalka Withana, we are very grateful for all your effort and taking your time out for your busy schedule and conducting this webinar today. So thank you very much for that. And on behalf of the organizing committee of the Navigator, I would like to present this token of appreciation to Dr. Rukshan Batuwita and Mr. Amalka Withana as an honor for your valuable presence in this webinar series. So Dr. Rukshan Batuwita and Mr. Amalka Withana, thank you very much. It was very interesting, and it was a privileged moment for me and everyone who joined this session to listen to you, and it was very interesting. And yes, and thank you again. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank our lecturers, organizing committee, and the executive board. We appreciate all of you for your support you gave to us. Also, on behalf of the Computer Science Student Association, I would also like to thank everyone who participated in today's webinar and for your active participation. So now we have reached the end of today's session. So I hope you all enjoyed it and learned something new. And please don't forget to share what you learned from this session and what you feel about this session. And you have will be given you a feedback form you can see in the chat box. And please feel free to go to the link and give your thought about this session and what we can do to improve and about your thought. And now we have reached the end of today's session. I hope you all enjoyed a lot. So without before that, like dear participations, I would like to make this time an opportunity to invite all of you for our upcoming session on 24th of October. So on 24th, you can join with the session for career opportunities in software engineering with Mr. Chamik Vijayasundar. So don't miss this valuable opportunity and join with us on 24th of October. Stay connected with Navigator for the upcoming sessions on career opportunities in the IT field. Thank you for joining us today. Good night.